In this video, I'm going to be sharing some advice on how to stop unwanted thoughts. And so, let's say that you're meditating. You just want a space where you can catch a breath from your thoughts, where you won't be constantly bothered by them, where you won't get lost in stories and hypotheticals, because that can be exhausting. It can waste a lot of energy too. And so, you want to step away from that and you want to stop the thoughts from coming in. And so, how do you do that? Let's just say you're sitting, you're in silence because that's the default state, and then a thought appears, and you don't want to think thoughts right now. And so, first, you have to notice that the thought is there. So, you pay more attention to the fact that it is a thought rather than the content of the thought itself. So, for the moment, you'd have to pretend that the content of the thought doesn't make any sense, that it's just irrelevant, incoherent babble. And so, for the moment, just pretend that that's the case, even though you can understand what the thought is saying. So, you have to look at it differently, sort of put your understanding of whatever language you speak to the side, and just notice the phenomena of a thought appearing. Your noticing of it, your attention of it, should be more saturated on just that phenomena of a thought itself. And so this way, you won't get lost in the story of the thought itself. You won't get lost in the content of it. And this might take a lot of practice. You get better and better at noticing the thoughts sooner and sooner as they arise. As you get better and better at noticing the thought, the sooner that it arises, you notice that you can actually choose to not affirm the thought. Because what most people do without really knowing it is when a thought appears, they affirm the thought. And what I'm basically saying with that is they're identifying with their thoughts. They're claiming ownership over their thoughts. And as soon as you do that, you personalize the thought. And in personalizing the thoughts, you've just given yourself a reason to take interest in them. If you're not personalizing your thoughts, then you have no reason to be interested in them at all. And so you won't get lost in the story of them if you're not invested. And so you have to stop affirming the thoughts. And that takes practice as well. That takes recognizing that you're not choosing your thoughts in the first place. You're not really the thinker of your thoughts. When you're just resting in the silence and you notice the thoughts come and go, you notice that they're doing that automatically. You're not really initiating the thoughts through a preemptive will. There's just silence, and then a thought appears without your consent. And so when you can recognize that you're not choosing your thoughts, they become less personal. They're seen as just phenomena, just reactions to your conditioning, which you also didn't choose. And so by depersonalizing your relationship with thoughts, you can cease to affirm them as thoughts that you claim. And so that sort of creates some space from the thoughts. And then the thoughts, you'll find that they have a very short half-life. They don't linger around when you don't affirm them. They just vanish. And you get better and better at doing this, and eventually, thoughts just appear much less frequently. And I understand that the difficulty of this may vary from person to person because some people have certain psychological conditions such as ADHD, which makes it more difficult for them to have a calm, quiet mind. So it is easier said than done, but the simplicity of it is the exact same for every individual person. So if it is more difficult for you, you just have to have an open willingness to trust the process, to see it through. If you see it through, eventually there will be progress. There just has to be that openness.